Welcome to Beyond Referrals, the podcast exploring how trust, growth, and client relationships in financial services are evolving in the digital and AI age. I'm your host, Emily Armstrong. Let's dive in. Hey there. Welcome back to Beyond Referrals. This was such a good conversation on the exact topic of what the show is about, referrals. My new friend, Scott Grates, is a referral expert. And if you haven't caught my episode on his podcast, Referrals Done Right, go look that up and give it a listen. It was a fantastic conversation. But Scott Grates is a referral expert. He has grown multiple businesses to 7 figures using referrals as his strategy. In the beginning, he talks about how referrals were just necessary, the only way he could grow business, the only way he could have effective marketing, and how he's turned that into his absolute biggest asset and has gotten an incredible return on investment from building incredible relationships and investing deeply in his community. We talked in this conversation all about how to balance the tension of needing to make sales and build business while at the same time building relationships and being patient with that process. We talked about how to create wow moments in your client experience or your client interactions, because the truth is, if you want referrals, you need to be referable. So you're going to want to get your notepad out for this one because he has so many good ideas on how to be more referable and both let that happen naturally as well as strategically and intentionally get referrals from your clients. We finished up with talking about how personal branding and social media and the digital presence of things is absolutely critical to the referral side of the business. And I love this part of the conversation because I think some people might think that, oh, if I'm building my business on referrals, then why do I need a digital presence? Well, you're going to find out why in this episode. It was so good. And he goes through his framework, the Infinite Referral Advantage, as well. It's fantastic. I read his book, Referrals Done Right, and I highly recommend you grab a copy. It's in the show notes. But I learned a lot about referrals and it gave me new inspiration for relationship marketing. So without further ado, here is my conversation with Scott Grates on Referrals Done Right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Beyond Referrals. I'm very excited for my guest today, Scott Grates. He is a national best-selling author, podcast host, entrepreneur, TEDx speaker, and sought-after coach for small business owners. As the leader of multiple thriving businesses, which he built from zero and now generate millions of dollars annually, Scott understands the challenges faced by small business owners in their relentless pursuit of success against the corporate behemoths. Scott is on a mission to arm entrepreneurs with the transformative power of relationship optimization in their communities. Scott teaches the Infinite Referral Advantage system in his most recent book, Referrals Done Right. I've got the book here and we're going to talk all about it. It's fantastic. His system connects entrepreneurs with fellow small business owners, local schools, community service organizations, and star customers. As a father of 3 children, Scott also has a lifelong passion to bring real-world knowledge to students prior to graduation so they are better prepared for their career after the classroom. So, Scott, I'm so thrilled to have you on my podcast after being on your podcast. Thanks for being here today.
Emily, I'm not just saying this, I mean it. You were one of my favorite guests. I don't know if you listen to all of your podcasts back, but I don't, right? Like, who has the time, frankly? I listened to yours back, and I think I actually went back to the same section a couple times and took notes. So I'm thrilled. Hopefully I can deliver, just a tenth of the value you brought to mine.
Thank you. That's such a nice compliment. I really had a good time coming on the show. So listeners, Scott and I connected because we are both part of this coaching program and this coaching community called Brand Builders Group. And they have a podcast directory that you can find other people on podcasts. And I saw you and I was like, oh my gosh, we absolutely need to connect. So here we are. And yeah, that was such a great conversation. I would love for you to tell everyone a little bit about you and your story.
Yeah, the real quick recap, and you heard a little bit of it in the bio there, talking about corporate behemoths. I grew up very poor. I literally, like, out of the trailer park No one in my family ever went to college. Well, a couple might have went. None of them graduated. I was the first to graduate with a bachelor's degree. And I have this chip on my shoulder. I just really resonate with the small business owner, the solopreneur, the person who is willing to push all the chips in and bet on themselves. And, really the Referrals Done Right, book and everything that's come after it is just this mission to arm people with the ability to create meaningful relationships that will help them and help their communities, through business. But it happened out of necessity because going back to the being broke part, my wife and I had 2 babies in 2008. Literally, I think both were in diapers, like babies. They were born close together. And I was part of the financial meltdown in '08. I was with HSBC and lost my job. And I was like, hey, I don't want to be a number on a spreadsheet. I don't want to be a W-2 employee. And we were having dinner with friends, and one of the people at the table was in the insurance space, and she's like, "Hey, have you thought about starting an insurance agency?" And I knew nothing about insurance. I knew nothing about running my own business, and I'm like, "That sounds like a great idea." Obviously, there were some drinks involved.
Sounds easy enough.
Yeah. So I actually started calling around to different insurance companies to have them pitch me, like different recruiters, like, "Hey, what can you show me here?" And then I got in and realized, shockingly, it's very hard to run your own business and in a new space. And I started from scratch, meaning I had no customers. So I didn't purchase an existing book. I started with 0. And I was running into, in the insurance space, behemoths, right? All the huge names, you see them advertising all the time. They're spending billions of dollars to advertise the market. And here I am, talk about a small fish in a big pond. And I realized very quickly that I needed to become a contrarian. I couldn't just spend my way to success. I had to generate, referrals and relationships and do, grassroots marketing, guerrilla marketing to get my personal brand going. And so, yeah, we can go through the system, and obviously we will, but that's how it started, just truly out of necessity. Like, I had no money for advertising and marketing. So I'm like, all right, let's go all in on what costs very little and almost nothing, relationships.
Well, before kind of getting into the questions, I getting to know you a bit more in your book and then what you're sharing right now. I just think it's so amazing what you're doing, and you're really paving a way for your kids, and just your story of how you have found success in what you're doing and how you and your wife have made a really big impact in your local community. And I think that's amazing. I just want to say I'm a fan of you and what you're teaching. And it's cool because you really preach the underdog message of, you don't have to have $1 million advertising budget to be an entrepreneur and have a successful business. You do it this way with really good relationships. So I see that and I respect that.
Thank you, Emily. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. So, okay, how did you kind of have this gut feeling at the time to really leverage relationships to grow a business instead of a marketing budget to go find leads or do direct mail campaigns, back at that time? How did you know to do it this way?
Yeah, so a couple different answers. One was just looking at ROI and all the different tactics I was using. I leveraged lines of credit and credit cards and what I did have in savings. So to say I had no money isn't the total truth. I had like a $5,000 or $6,000 a month marketing budget. This is back in '09, and it doesn't go very far. But I was trying to do a little bit of everything: direct mail, purchasing internet leads. We had telemarketers, back then, doing cold calls. I had billboards and radio ads and newspaper ads, and I was spreading myself so thin that none of it was really that impactful. It couldn't be. And then we had a referral program. And, when I started looking at the return on investment in my first year, like the referrals, the way the cost was so low, the acquisition rates were so high, it was stickier business. Those people stayed longer. They referred others, so it didn't take an MBA from Wharton to realize that this was the way I wanted to go. But the cool story, and I'll tell this one really quick, and it is in the book, but I ran into a realtor named Becky Smith who fundamentally changed my life forever. I didn't know her at the time. When I first opened my business, it was December 1st, '09. It was a Tuesday. And when you're new in a small town, right, people just flood in to your new business. And I say that like laugh because it's true, but it's not the people you want, right? They're salespeople. Everyone's trying to sell you something.
Sure.
You're this new blood, right? And so it was like the third day open. Here comes Becky Smith, very nice, nicely dressed lady, clearly a salesperson. She wanted to chat with me. In a moment of weakness, I'm like, sure, like, let's see what she has to offer. And all Becky did for like 5 or 10 minutes is just ask meaningful questions about me, my family, my background, why I went into insurance, what my goals are in the community, how can she help, who are some people she might know that she can introduce to me, what civic organizations or charity, am I passionate about? And it was just question after question about me. And I'm thinking, all right, lady, like, let's get to the point here. Right. And then
where's this going to go? Right.
There was no point other than she truly, genuinely, sincerely just wanted to get to know me. And she said, listen, I know you're busy. I've taken up enough of your time. She hands me her card. She goes, I'm Rebecca Smith. I own Accent Brokerage, 2 towns over. And she goes, I'd love to continue the relationship. And she left. And it was the first time that I was like, wow, that was actually an enjoyable conversation. Like I really felt a connection, like, like she really cared. And so then the process started, unbeknownst to me. She sent a follow-up, handwritten card. It was so great to meet you. We connected on social media. She brought a little, like 2 or 3 months later, a little plant as an office warming gift. And then 3 or 4 months after that, she introduced me to a gentleman that was one of her biggest customers who wasn't thrilled with his insurance agent. And she made the connection and he became my biggest customer, still is to this day. And so the point of the story is about 6 or 7 months after meeting Becky, I'm sitting down with a newly widowed customer. She just lost her husband. And we're going through her homeowner's insurance and I'm asking her all these questions. And she says, Scott, I don't even know how long I'm going to stay in the home. Right. It's a lot of upkeep and maintenance and things my husband did. And, I'll probably sell it soon. And it was like Isaac Newton when he got hit with the apple and realized gravity was a thing. The law of reciprocity kicked in. And I was like, hey, do you have a realtor? And she's like, oh, we haven't bought or sold a house in over 30 years. She goes, I wouldn't even know where to start. And I'm like, I'm going to tell you where to start and stop. I'm like, Becky Smith, she's the greatest realtor. You're going to absolutely love her. Let me connect the two of you. And it was at that moment that I realized what Becky had been doing. She had been cultivating a meaningful relationship with me. She never asked for a thing. She never had a referral program. And this is where the done right part of Referrals Done Right comes in, because it's not this, weird, awkward, I help you, you help me, Emily, and I'm not going to do anything unless you do something for me first. And, is true servant heart, leadership, sincerity, where we want to help each other for the right reasons. And so, years later, oh my gosh, I'm dating myself, but probably close to 2 decades later now, Becky and I have introduced one another to countless new clients. So that's kind of where the system was born.
Yeah, I had in my notes, please tell the Becky story, and she just sounds amazing. We all need to do business like Becky. I thought that was such a great picture, and I love how you described it. Where like in the moment when your client, your customer needed Becky, you couldn't even let her finish her sentence before you were like, I've got the right person for you. I loved that. Okay. So when I read that in the book, it made me think about this tension, because I 100% agree that is how the referrals done right should feel, look like. That's what we're wanting to create in our professional relationships with centers of influence, is that just genuinely, I want to help you. I want to serve you. We're both here in the community. We want to serve our clients well. How can we help each other out? I feel like there's a tension of doing that and taking the time to build that, because like you said, 7-ish months later until you referred someone to Becky and she didn't even ever ask you for a referral. So I came from an environment where they're trained in sales, but the way to do sales is to ask for referrals, AKA referrals done wrong sometimes, right? Where we've talked about this, where it's like the only way that they're equipped, and I'm sure it might be the same way with sales training and some of the insurance spaces you've seen, but like referrals is not always about that other person. It's about them, because that's how they're going to make sales. And I've had some conversations on my podcast about this with other, amazing experts like yourself who really understand the psychology behind referrals and how to do it right. And like So what would you say to that person who's been trained and who's managing that tension of like, I want referrals, I want business, but I also want to cultivate relationships, but that seems like it takes too much time and you know what I'm saying? It's like the tension
I know
between
exactly what you're
sales and
saying.
referrals. Okay, talk to me about that.
Yeah, let's go. I mean, let's unpack. There's a lot there. First, let's understand the psychology of the referral. Let's go all Ryan Holiday on you. That ego is the enemy. We think it's about us. None of this is about us, right? The
Mm-hmm.
referral is. Do you have a brother or sister, Emily?
Yes, I have a brother and a stepsister.
Okay, so what's your brother's name?
Eric.
You love him?
I love him. He's probably my best friend.
Okay, awesome. So if you find tremendous value in the way that I handle you as a client, and you absolutely love one of your favorite people on earth, Eric, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to introduce Eric to me, not because you love me or my referral program, you love him. Right. And so the referral is all about the person or the people that are making the introduction. None of it's about you or your program or what you need or your sales quotas. And that's the tension you're talking about. But I need this now, right? There's a trust transfer that happens, right? Eric trusts you. And because of that, when I call Eric, and I say, hey, your sister Emily says amazing things about you. You're one of her favorite people. She thought maybe we'd be a good connection. I could help you with insurance the same way I helped her. Immediately, he's like, okay, Emily, I'm all for it, right? I trust her. So there's the trust transfer there. So the first thing we have to understand is it's not about us. The second thing we have to understand is that, this is a multifaceted approach where there's some quick referral asks at the right moment. Right. Timing is everything. I often say that, the name of the book should have been Relationships Done Right. But if you do that, then it goes into a different section in the bookstore and it gets weird. Right. So it's a business.
And we did talk about that on your podcast because I was like, no, I think you should. I think it is Referrals Done Right because that is. Anyways, not to get into all of that, but
no,
yes.
That's fine. Yeah, but it's all about meaningful relationships. And so with any meaningful relationship, there's the process of you plant the seed, you cultivate, which is the long part, right? And then we harvest. But in this microwave society, we want to plant the seed where we first get to know you and then cultivate immediately. And I equate it to you go on your first date and before the salad even comes, you propose marriage. Like weird, right? Like
That's so weird.
We're not there yet, right? But we do this in the business world where we're like, it's so great to meet you, Emily. An hour ago, can I have the names and phone numbers of all the people you love and care about the most on this planet? Like, no.
Yeah.
Like, you haven't earned it, dude, right?
No thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are some quick ways. Let's go through it. And then there's the longer process, that we're kind of spelling out with what I refer to in my industry as centers of influence, right? People that are in parallel markets to you. They're already doing business with the people you want to do business with. And so they can provide that trust transfer. So we'll talk about that. That's the goose and the golden egg in a second. But to answer your question with the tension, one area I think in the space you came from is very similar to mine is where we drop the ball is I don't think we properly onboard new customers the way we should, right? This is when we first do business with someone, they obviously trust you. They know you, they like you to a certain level where they just moved some sort of money decision and gave you a lot of personal information to make that happen on the application. So there's trust there. So this is what I refer to as the honeymoon phase. A lot of dating analogies here, but the honeymoon phase
makes sense.
is, we haven't messed anything up yet. Like in my space, like we haven't botched a claim. I'm not saying we would, but things happen. We haven't messed up the payments. You haven't had a rate increase, right? So all these things that could happen haven't. And so we need to get to know Emily a little bit better. No different than your doctor would. When you first go to the doctor, they're looking at your vital signs. They're asking you for prescription history, any aches or pains or whatever. So we take people through. It's a checklist, but it's conversational. It's a guide where we get to know, them deeper and how they like to do business and be communicated with and things like that. And then at the end, we ask them to fill out a quick 5-6 question survey, just how we did. And my team is trained to let you know that, hey, this is how Scott grades me, evaluates me, frankly, compensates me, right? On how well I handled this interaction and started this relationship with you. And so then we ask 5 or 6 questions that we know with confidence they're going to say yes to, right? And then the last question is, did I do my job well enough where you feel I've earned the right to meet one person that you know that maybe I can help the same way? And if you answer
I like
yes,
that language.
then the next obvious question is, all right, who's the first person that comes to mind? You know what? My brother Eric. Awesome. Do you mind if I give him a buzz? I'm not going to be pushy or pressure, but we value our referrals that we receive. And I would kindly ask that you let him know in advance. If you shoot him a text or whatever, just let him know that I will be calling the next day or two, so he's not blindsided by it. And so that's one way, right? We use this survey. The other thing we do in the survey is I'll ask you, Emily, like if your family were to get a pizza or order out food somewhere, like where would you order from? What's your favorite?
There's a place like in the nearest
In your
kind of family friendly neighborhood called Hops and Pie.
Okay.
It's
So
sourdough pizza.
Hobson pie. I like it. So I'm going to make a note of that. And then when your brother Eric doesn't have to buy anything, like if he has a conversation with me and we get a quote going, I'm going to give you a buzz back and I'm going to say, Emily, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure talking to your brother Eric. I am going to Hobson Pie at the end of this week. We go on Friday and we're going to grab a gift certificate for you and your family because we appreciate you introducing us to Eric. At some point, in the next week or two, swing by the office and grab that. Right.
Yeah.
And so,
Nice.
We really hone in on we don't lead with the referral program. It's an afterthought, right? We want the referral because we earned it, not because you're willing to give me Eric's name for a pizza, right? So we have people their favorite local establishment. And then what this does is it allows us to visit a lot of small locally owned establishments, and we start cultivating the relationships with them as we're purchasing from them, supporting each other.
I love that.
Gifts. Yeah. So it's, so the last one I want to hit, and then I'll shut up, is we're all about cloning our best customers. And so I'm going to say it and I'm going to mean it. And I'm going to be unapologetic. Not all customers are the same. There's a lot of customers we don't want, right?
Yeah.
And so we have a grading process at my agency where you're an A, a B, or a C. And I won't go too deep into that, but this is when you do any marketing, you start your marketing conversation with who's our perfect customer avatar? Like who are we talking to, right? And you know this from your magnetic niche, and who do you want to pull in? And so if you're an A customer and I'm having a conversation with you, I'm going to express gratitude. Emily, I know you have dozens of options out there when it comes to insurance. Thank you for continuously choosing us. Trusting us means the world to us. In fact, we're trying to build this agency around great people just like you. And we find that you guys typically hang out together, like-minded people. If you'd be willing, right, to introduce me to one person that it would certainly mean the world to me. And we'd love to take care of them the same way we take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our customer cloning pivot, right? So through conversations with some of our best customers, right, express gratitude, compliment them, let them know the bigger mission that we're trying to grow this thing around great people like them, and ask for an introduction, right? So when you ask like about the quicker ones, the new customer onboarding satisfaction survey, the customer cloning process, and the other kind of quick one is what I refer to as hero moments. So if something good happens and you get a compliment, ding, 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 right? Be actively listening for, you guys are the best. I love doing business with you. You're the greatest, right? And like, again, just right into that pivot of thank you so much. In fact, we're trying to grow this thing around great people like you. Would you be willing to share a name or make an introduction? And we use introduction a lot, by the way, because referral is very businessy and it almost feels like an endorsement where it's like, if I refer you to Eric, right, and then I suck, then it's like, well, what did you send me to him? But if I just make the introduction, it's like, whatever happens, happens, right? So that it's less businessy.
And it feels more like what's the word I'm looking for? Reciprocal, where it's like a referral is like, I'm sending this person to you, but an introduction is like, I would like the two of you to meet. So that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's great. That's all great. I'm hearing in that, there's intentional things to do, obviously, but really with that mindset of it's not about you, and your business will grow if you just focus on the right things. Something that's so simple, but I don't think, like, again, these professionals all the time in these really sales heavy organizations who are trained on referrals as like their only strategy to grow their business, I don't think they really think about being referable. Right? It's like, if you want referrals, you need to be referable. Tell me about what makes somebody referable, because some people just assume they should get referrals.
Yeah. I love the question, and I talk a lot about, you're not entitled to anything. Like you've heard me use it a couple times already, like earn. Like we need to earn our referrals. Well, what does that mean? It means we need to be referable. The words that hang in our conference room are, if you're not unique, you're weak. And in this,
Love it.
world where, Seth Godin talks about the purple cow, right? The fields are full of brown and white and black cows. Like, how are you purple? How do you stand out? And so we spend a lot of time on creating our personal value statement. I use a lot of sports analogies, but if, we're going to run a Super Bowl ad and we have 114 million eyeballs on us for 30 seconds and we're spending all this money, like, what are we going to say in 30 seconds or less to make you stop and be like, oh, wow, they're different. Like, that's cool. So we work a lot on our value statements. We work a lot on creating what I refer to as wow customer experiences, right? So how do we wow people? And some of my employees will even use that on their customer satisfaction survey, rate me on a scale of 1 to wow. And the more wows we get, we know we're doing something special. We talk a lot about the value equation, which is the numerator is what the customer receives and the denominator is what they pay. Now, I'm in an industry and you came from an industry where we can't change the denominator. I can't just lower my rates or prices, right? It is what it is. Industry standard, compliance laws, all that. So all we can do is pack the numerator. So how much are we putting into that unique, memorable customer experience to make people go, wow, like this is so much different. Like I've always dealt with insurance, but never like this. Like these people are different. And so, really, it comes down to the value that you offer, because price only matters in the absence of value. Are you creating a wow experience? And then what pain are you helping the person solve? And this goes to realtors, mortgage brokers, attorneys, whoever you're trying to extract referrals, introductions from. What's in it for them, right? And so we really spend a lot of time around, Emily, if you send someone to us, this is the VIP experience they can expect. And we roll that out. And then we say our mission is to have their very next phone call be right back to you after talking to us. And we want them to thank you for referring them to us, right? Because we're going to treat that at that level. And so how do you become referable? All right. So, there's a lot of ways, but really it's the value, it's the wow experience. It's being strategic and intentional about the way you treat the referral, and then let the person know that up front. Like, why should you refer to me over someone else? Because here's how we're going to treat your clients. And then there's a lot of personal branding, strategies where you have to be likable. I say all the time, insurance agent is what I do, but it's not who I am. You had mentioned things my wife and I are doing in the community. And, I want people to know me as a husband, as a father of 3, hopefully as a thought leader, a community leader, someone who cares and gives back. And, there doesn't have to be a win for me in order for there to be a win for the relationship, right? I know that those things will come down the road. That's not why I do it. And so I think just being sincere and genuine and human and creating a personal branding strategy also makes you referable. So long answer, but we spend a lot of time on becoming referable.
Do you have some good examples, whether it's like wow experiences that you've had at businesses or that you've given to clients or customers or that you've seen out there? I love some good wow stories.
Yeah, I'll give you a couple of tactical ones that we use. So during that customer onboarding, we always ask, like, I'll ask you, what's your favorite snack?
You're asking?
Yeah, I'm asking.
I have a lot of favorite snacks.
Just one.
Seasoned pretzels and beef jerky.
Okay.
And dark chocolate pretzels as well.
Perfect. We're going to make a note of that. Favorite non-alcoholic.
Put that in the record.
Yeah. Favorite non-alcoholic beverage.
A Poppy and Olipop.
Okay. So we'll make a note of that in your CRM, in your client file. And anytime that you are scheduled to come in for a review appointment, or maybe we're working through a claim or whatever, in advance, I have someone on the team who's going to go out and purchase your favorite soft drink or whatever the drink is and snack and have that waiting for you.
That's a wow. Yeah.
So that's a wow, kind of, a little bit different. We take extremely detailed notes around the acronym FORM, Family, Occupation, Recreation, Money. And, if I know that your husband's birthday is August 17th, which I do know that now, I am going to, make a note and make sure that I send a personal, handwritten card. That's nothing like wow. Here's a fun one from Ben from Brand Builders did this to me. My birthday's in July. And so in January, I got a birthday card from Ben and it was ripped in half. And it said, "Hey, Scott, you're halfway to your next birthday. Come July, I'll send the second half of the card. Hope all is well, whatever." That was like 4 years ago. I still have that half card in my drawer because I freaking love that. It stood out. Everyone sends you a card on your birthday or for the holiday, right? So how can you do things differently? But the wow experience is, we do this salute and support, process daily. We block out time to be on social media, right? We got to block a certain amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And what do people post? They post things they're proud of. They post things that they're upset or sad about. And then they post all the political crap, right? We avoid that. So if you
Or they post their kids like me.
Yes.
Because they're so cute. Yeah.
Yes. And so if you're just making this up, right? If your daughter scores her first goal in an ASO soccer game or whatever, you're excited. You're going to post that. Well, we're going to send your daughter a handwritten card and we're going to go down to, there's a local place called Stewart's Ice Cream Shop or whatever. And we're going to get a gift certificate and name your daughter and write her a nice little note and say, "Hey, have some ice cream on us." And then what do? You're like, oh my gosh, like a lot of people post that on Facebook, right? Because they're like, my birthday, I just sent my daughter a card, whatever. So we do all those I can go on and on, but those are a couple like tactical things that we do to try to wow people and let them know that they matter, right? That they're not just a number on a spreadsheet. Like we're paying attention, and it's the key is be very curious, ask all the questions, don't trust your memory, take detailed notes, and then be strategic about planning this stuff. So every day, to finish that thought, we try to find 3 people that we can salute, like high fives, good stuff in your world, I see you, or support, like lost a dog or, a friend or, something like that. And we could send a card at those moments too.
Yeah. I mean, my heart is just feeling warm, like as you're saying all these examples. And, when I've experienced things like that from other people, it's like, okay, I'm your friend for life. And I think those things matter so deeply. And so talk to me about, as like you had mentioned earlier, so these wow moments where you do have to get creative, but they're simple and you can put infrastructure and processes around them so you don't miss them. Talk to me about the kind of like digital side and the personal brand side as well of why is that important to the referral experience? And maybe some examples there too.
Yeah. KLT, right? Know, like, trust. Almost never do I talk about insurance on social media. Like nothing in my branding strategy is around insurance or why you should consider us. All right. To me, that's just assume that if they know me, they like me, they trust me, or even just one of the 3, they know what I do. Right. And if they're interested, it's totally cheating off your paper, the magnetic niche that I'm pulling them into my world. So yeah, I totally forgot the question. I'm sorry.
No. Like, I think, so some people might just say, yeah, like some people might just say, "Oh, I don't need to do social media or marketing or any of that because I'm just going to be in the referral lane." But I think they are really missing something. So yeah, talk to me about that piece.
Yeah. Sorry, I totally got sidetracked there. But yeah, it's you've got to be real. I say all the time that people's BS meters are higher than ever now.
So high.
Yeah, and that's good, right? Because people like us who are doing business the right way and for the right reasons, it helps, filter out the nonsense and the people who aren't. And, I know me personally, if someone's introduced to me and there's a potential collaboration, business, whatever to be done, or maybe I'm looking for a different place to do business, I'm going right to their social media, right? Like,
100%, yeah.
Pull up your LinkedIn, pull up your Facebook, or, I'm not on IG. I probably should. I think I am, but someone else runs it. But I'm active on Facebook and LinkedIn, me personally. But if you pull up yours, like, what is it saying about you, right? If no one's ever met you before. Yeah, Google reviews are great, don't get me wrong, but, and they help with the algorithm, but Google also rewards content and pictures and just activity, right? So every single day, we are active on social media strategically. And then a lot of it, and this sounds so cold and shallow, but it's just where we are as a society, right? If people like you when you engage in their stuff, when you like or heart or whatever their stuff, like It's like, oh, Scott's always like engaging with my stuff in a positive way. Or if there's something that you're doing that I can promote or share, or, put a kind word in, or leave you a LinkedIn endorsement for you, like without you having to ask me, or, things like that. So we're always leveraging social media as part of the relationship game. And then the other thing I'll hit on with social media is we're really big on community events. We try to do at least one a month. Some months it's easier than others to do multiple, but ultimately people overwhelmingly want to do business with people who are giving back to the communities that they serve, right? Pouring
Yeah.
into the kids, pouring into different initiatives or nonprofits or wherever your heart is. Like, don't do this for business reasons. Like, what are you passionate about? What do you love doing? Like, go do it. And it might be an event like this one stands out. We did this event at the public library in town. And they had this like music series. They were just kicking it off, and they wanted people to get more involved in the library. And so every week there was one musician they brought in, and it was right in the park next to where the library is. And they asked the local business to provide snacks and beverages and whatever. So I offered to help with that. There were probably 12 people at this event. Is that right?
Great showing, honestly.
I know it's tough, right? But
Yeah.
and so like on the surface, you're like, oh, what a bust! Like I spent all this time and money, and there's 12 people, and 4 of them were already my customer or whatever. But what I did is took pictures. I created a video, which became a reel, which became like, hey, I'm all about supporting this public library as a staple in our community, and here's what they're doing, and it's awesome, and be a part of next week's or whatever. And the long and short of it is there were like tens of thousands of views, and there's a ton of engagement and shares. And so what's the win? Was the win being there and talking to the 12 people, or was it the perception or just announcement that, hey, I'm someone who cares, I want to give back, I want to help promote this thing? And obviously the answer is the latter. So if you're sleeping on social media in 2027 and going be like, you're in big trouble. Like, I'm old enough where when I first opened, we needed the traditional media. So I would send a press release like, hey, I'm going to be at the library. Would love for you to come down with a reporter.
What is even a press release? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I know, right? But we had to beg the traditional media to come cover things we were doing. Now you are the media, good, bad, or indifferent for some people, but leverage that. I mean, we have tens of thousands of people who follow our stuff, and people are the new brands, and this is where influencers, and by the way, everyone listening, you are an influencer at some level. Like you don't have to be Joe Rogan or Sarah Blakely or these huge names that Mel Robbins, like these. If you have 100 people in your audience that will half listen to what you're saying, like you have some sort of influence over them, right? And so your words matter, and your thought leadership matters, and you'll grow it from there. So the point being, we spend billions as industries with celebrity endorsers, right? So Matthew McConaughey wants me to drive a Lincoln. Well, I love Matthew McConaughey. Like, so maybe I'll consider a Lincoln. Well, I've never met Matthew McConaughey. It'd be a lot cooler if I did.
But he's influencing you.
But, so it's, point being is like, you can become that person where if people are jiving with your thoughts and your message and they relate to you, then they're more likely to consider doing business with you. From there. So yeah, social media is huge.
Will you talk to me more about that? Because you've said that to me before, where like you are an influencer, people are influencers. Say more about that.
Yeah, I just think this goes back to the follow the heart. Like what is your message? What do you want to be known for? What's your legacy? What are you passionate about? Speak to it. And it doesn't have to be on camera. It could be written word. It could be sharing some of the things that other thought leaders are sharing around that topic on yours. But what's going to happen, and this, right? With the law of attraction, the more you start sharing your thoughts and opinions and insight and advice around a certain topic that hundreds and thousands and maybe tens of thousands of people share the same thoughts and insight, that you are going to pull them into your sphere, and they're going to start following you and engaging with you. And then when they need your products and services, there you go. So, a lot of people are like, I'm going to say this, Emily, you're not going to believe me, but this is true. I'm a complete introvert, and no one believes that.
I don't believe that.
I know, but I'm going to tell you why. Right. This forum, it's me and you. Right now, hopefully hundreds, thousands or more people will listen to it. Right. And that's awesome. But right now I'm just talking to you.
Mhm.
When I'm on stage, I'm talking to one person in the audience, right, who needs that message, and everyone else gets to kind of come along. When I'm with my friends and family, people I know, like I can light it up. I'm very comfortable. You put me a Chamber of Commerce mixer, like I'm the dude having anxiety, pounding drinks in the corner, trying to get through that damn thing, right? Like I don't like, it's not natural for me to meet new people. It's not natural for me to mingle and engage and have what I frankly consider like useless conversations around, the same
Yeah.
old, what's new in your business, right? So anyway, my point to that is I get a lot of people who are like, but I'm an introvert. Like I'm not comfortable, or I don't want to, it feels very egotistical for me to put my thoughts and whatever online, or I'm a private person. And I struggle with all of that because if that's fine, if that's who you are and that's where you want to be. But in this new age economy where, this is how business is getting done, I think you're really going to struggle as an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, a leader, if you don't have some sort of online presence or digital branding so that people know who you are and what you stand for. So
I agree.
yeah, the answer to the question is like, you got to push yourself out there and less authentic, but leverage AI, just talk
Mhm.
to AI, type in some stuff and it will give you some different campaigns on, how to become an influencer, thought leader, how to create content that will stick with people or engage them. So yeah, if it's not
Yeah.
inherently in you, then leverage the machines.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really important for referral. Like, I think the new way to do business is still the old way, which is do things right, have your clients and your customers at the center of everything you do, be referable, create the wow experience, like be genuine, be sincere, and lean into the digital side, lean into personal branding, lean into content, put yourself out there, put your thoughts and your opinions out there. Like those two together will make you so powerful. Cause I just think the alternative is really gonna, like what you're saying, hurt people because you need that presence to, the other side of trust building. It's the referral converter. It's the like attraction grabber. So I think that was well said. And yeah, I think about it. So one quick story on that. So when I started posting content, like I think this is true of anyone, right? You're like, oh my gosh, no one gives a crap what I'm saying. Like I feel so silly. And you just have so much head trash and you like keep showing up for a long enough time and still like no one's really engaging with your stuff. But then about what was it, like a month and a half ago, I ran into a gal I hadn't seen in probably 14 years and haven't thought about her or seen her in a while. And she was like, Emily, I love your LinkedIn. It's so inspiring to me. Like she has 2 kids just like me. And she's like, you're inspiring me to go start my own business and do consulting because like, I just can't do this with my family anymore. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she's like, I have my first client call on Friday. And I just had no idea, So
Yeah.
I think it's a good reminder of, again, the content side is still not even about you, right? Like I think that's the theme under all of it.
Yeah, no doubt. Like Rory Raiden, who are you most powerfully positioned to serve? And once
Yeah.
you identify that person, then just speak to that person. It's funny with social media, we have a misconception when it's like, nothing's getting traction. Like, 400 people viewed this post. What a waste of time. If you were in front of an audience of 400 humans up on stage, would that be somewhat intimidating to you? Would you think that's a pretty
Absolutely.
good sized crowd, right? Like this is a full house, right? That's most conference centers. And so, well, anyway, point being is when we're live, it's like, wow, 400, that's a ton of people to talk to. But then we put a message on LinkedIn and 400 people look at it and we're like, oh, what a bust. It's like, really?
Yeah.
It's like
That
super.
changed how I see online like impressions and views of like one person. Okay, that's one human being on the other side. So couldn't agree more with that. It's such a helpful perspective. So last thing I want to get into before moving to lightning round is talk to me about the Infinite Referral Advantage. This is a framework that you created. It's in the book. I would love for you to teach on that a little bit.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I kind of cheated a little bit. So these are 5 words that start with S, but there's a couple like 2 words, so I cheated there. But so the 5 S's, first and foremost, your star customers. So who are your best customers? You have a sales team out there working for you. who are the people who are saying great things about you when you're not in the room? And so the more you can pour into your star customers and help them understand how to make an introduction or referral and why that matters to you, that's huge. So we want to be consistent. The one word problem that I try to help people solve is inconsistency, because a lot of the things that I'm talking about, people are like nodding their head and they're like, yeah, I've tried that. Right. I'm like, okay, for how long? Right. Was it like
one time?
Yeah, one time, couple times, couple weeks, couple months. Like, this is stuff that we're playing the long game here, right? This is months and years of relationship building. And then the beauty of it is there's a tipping point where once this thing's going to the level that, we 15 years of doing this now, like we couldn't, this is going to sound very egotistical, but it's true. Like we couldn't stop getting referrals if we wanted to right now. Like we have so many people, we have thousands of referrals that come in every year because we've built hundreds of meaningful relationships through the year. So leverage your star customers. The second one is going to be small businesses, right? They don't have to be small, but I mentioned it earlier, who are the people in parallel industries that are already doing business with the people you want to do business with? They have the relationship. They'll give the trust transfer, right? So how do we stay in front of them every few weeks to remain consistent? It doesn't have to be in person, just your name or face. And this is where social media comes in huge, right? Engaging with their content, sharing their stuff, liking their stuff, sending a handwritten card. You mentioned what was once old is new again, right? So true. So we have all these different ways that you can stay in front of small business owners who are parallel. Service organizations, we hit on this earlier, right? So any nonprofit civic organization, again, follow your heart. Don't do it for business purposes. But what will happen is the people you meet there may not become customers or even referral partners, but this is where your super connectors live, right? People that donate their time and money back to the community are good people, and they know other good people, and they will connect you, right? And so it's a kind of a byproduct there. The other one that I freaking love, you mentioned it in the intro, is schools. We get very involved with the schools. This is next generation marketing. Talk about playing long game. I've been doing this for 15 years, and now kids that I was doing financial literacy workshops for, career days, teen driver safety events, like all these different things. I offer internships in the summer and job opportunities and mock interviews and help them build resumes. And like, I'm just pouring into, our future leaders. And what happens is, those kids were 15, 16, 17 at the time. Now they're 30 with a family and they have assets and they own homes. And like, I'm their person, right? Because we've known each other that long. So don't sleep on the next generation, right? Have a consistent program to stay involved with next generation customers. And then the last S is social media, right? And so we hit on this already, but how do you consistently leverage social to kind of be the glue that weaves all this together with your personal brand? So if you can make some headway in each of those 5 categories with consistency, that becomes what I refer to as the Infinite Referral Advantage, where once this thing's cooking, you can't stop.
I can see how if you really give those areas time and intention and do those actions over time, like you've got a full inbound referral system coming in the door that, will always be there as long as you're doing those things.
Yeah, got to do the thing.
Pretty awesome. Tell me more about your involvement with youth, because I also have a huge heart for youth and business opportunities.
So, people are always like, how do you get started with this? And every district is different. I'm in a small area, so I get to know like superintendents personally, but it might be a principal, it might be a teacher, it might be someone on the PTO or, whatever, but let someone preferably at the admin level know, like here we are in August at time of recording, they're gearing up for their next school year. Like if you have a career day or need a speaker at a workshop or want someone to teach or, whatever, like get a hold of me. Like I'm here to serve. Like I'll help financially, but I really want to help with my time and I want to get in front of the kids. And when you do that consistently in different districts or schools, you'll find that I end up having to say no to a lot more than I can say yes to, because they're going to leverage you. Mm-hmm. I wrote a book called, I wrote 2 books. One was a passion project for my son who graduated high school. He actually graduates college now. It's been 4 years. The essential F words for teens. And there's no actual F.
I would buy that book.
Actually, it's right here. Yeah, it was, the subtitle was the 117 things you need to know as you head out into the real world. This was just
what are the essential F words?
And there's a lot of them. You ready?
Okay.
rapid fire. I don't have these memorized, but so you've got failure, faith, foundational habits, friends, family, forgiveness, finances, fitness, and future you. Those are the 9. So those create each of the
Love.
chapters. And it was just like, really, it started as truly like a love letter to my son, and just all the things I wanted him to know as he went out into the world. And then I'm like, damn, I got a book.
Yeah.
And then it was too long of a book. Kids don't read that long or in general. So now with this has become think outside the textbook. That's a much cleaner, to the point, better for
You need
that
to you
audience.
need a Gen Zer to translate it in a book like this big,
Yeah. Get to the point, dude. But it's so
That's
wild.
really
Like
awesome.
I was at the gym this morning, and the kid who had just graduated high school, I had never met. He came up to me and he's like, "Hey," he goes, "I want you to know," he goes, I'm reading your book." And I said, "Which one?" And he said, the Think Outside the Textbook. And they've become like, I donate them to the schools, and then I encourage other people who are trying to get relationships with schools to donate them. I'll sell them at cost, right? This is not a moneymaker for me, but it allows me a way to get my foot in the door and get in front of these kids and have them thinking a little bit different. But it's super cool to hear it out in the wild that kids are reading it. And so I said, "How'd you stumble upon it?" And he said, Christine Spiak is her name. She's a friend of mine. And she goes, "Christine gave it to me as a graduation gift." And so they make really good graduation gifts too. So anyway, that's how I kind of get into the schools.
I love that. Yeah, I volunteer I went to CU Boulder to the business school, and I volunteered with young women there, and I just think there's definitely something on my heart with the youth in general. I love high schoolers, college kids, and specifically teaching them entrepreneurial business skills. So I always love when I meet someone who's has an equal has a heart for that too. But that's so cool what you're doing. I love it. All right, let's do a quick lightning round as we wrap up. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay. What is some business advice that you do not subscribe to?
Hustle and grind.
Yeah.
Do you
Say
want
more.
these quick, or do you want me to expand? But yeah, I
Just
think that,
mini expansion.
yeah, and no disrespect to Gary Vee, because he's done obviously amazing things, but the whole "nobody cares, work harder," I think is the worst advice ever. It sells on coffee mugs and t-shirts, but it's kind of BS in real life.
We could have a whole nother conversation about that. Completely agree. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not even going to go there. What is one tool that you can't live without?
One tool I can't live, well, honestly, right now it's my Scott bot. It's AI, right? So I've built and trained. I upload all my writings, all of my thoughts. The Scott bot is creepily knows me probably better than me at this point.
It's
But
so crazy.
It is. It's become a think tank partner. Yeah.
You're like, you are so smart, Scott Bot. Completely. What does life look like? I mean, you have a very full, beautiful life. It sounds like family, community, but give me a little taste of what life is like outside of work.
Yeah. So it's funny, because we were talking about social media and you have to be a part of it. I don't subscribe to work-life balance. I subscribe to work-life integration. And one thing, right, wrong, or indifferent, that we've done with our 3 children, they're all, well, Jen is 14. She's the youngest, but they're all pretty much adults now. She's very adult acting. But, we are all part of the Grates brand. Like, we refer to ourselves as Team Grates and the standards that we set. And, so outside of work, I don't know if there is an outside of work. Like, we're always representing Team Grates in some capacity. But we love to travel. We're all sports fans. My daughter's pretty into concerts. Real quick, my wife and I grew up in, we graduated high school in the mid-90s, went to college in the late 90s. So we became huge Dave Matthews fans, and we've traveled all over and chased him all over the country. And now my son, who's graduating from college this year, a few years ago, he became huge into Dave. So every year we go see him together, and it's kind of become a really cool bonding experience.
So cool. Wow. Yeah. My kids are little, so it gives me such fun, a vision for what my family will look
full
like.
circle moments. You won't get older, Emily, but your kids will. It's weird.
For sure. Yeah. I won't age. Well, okay, Scott. So everyone get the book, Referrals Done Right. If you are in a business where you are trying to nurture relationships, relationship marketing, referrals, this was a great read. I learned things, even though I've built my business on referrals. There was new things I learned from this book. Connect with Scott on LinkedIn, Facebook, check out his website, his other books. I apparently need to get the F word book as well now. Anything else that we missed, Scott?
No, this has been great. I knew it was going to be, and just I love that you're part of the community and having these conversations and, preaching the referral mindset and doing it the right way. So thank you.
Yeah, it's been great to get to know you. And thank you so much for coming on the show today. Can't wait for everyone to hear this one.
Thanks, Emily.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to the show. If this conversation resonated with you or you learned something new, make sure you follow the podcast so you don't miss out on future episodes. And do me a favor, like and subscribe and share this episode with a friend. Comment on anything that you want to see or hear more of in the future as well. You can also stay connected by subscribing to the Wonder Weekly newsletter and connect with me, Emily, on LinkedIn at Emily Armstrong or Instagram, Emily Armstrong 2.0 for more insights on building modern client service firms. Until next time, keep on adapting, modernizing, and growing beyond referrals.